if you are an empath, it's hard to distinguish someone else's trauma from your own or what you see going on in the world. Even politically, I've become incredibly active and cognizant of my own kind of horrors around our political system, many of which I'm aware don't actually impact me. And I have to kind of remind myself, like, my voice and my advocacy is really for people that are less privileged than I am.
That was Rocky Heron. Hey everyone, welcome back to Seeker and Sage, but today it's actually Dharma Dudes with me and Rocky. Rocky and I haven't done one of these episodes in quite a while, and I'm kind of sad that we haven't, because every time Rocky's on the show, it's a lot of fun. For those of you that are new to an episode with me and Rocky, it's me and him and a bunch of shenanigans. We really just have a great time with one another on the show, and we act extremely silly, and I think that's kind of why I love doing the episodes with him, is because we don't really know where we're going with it. We just let it go. Rocky and I haven't actually done an episode in quite a few months. We've both been so busy. And so this episode we caught up. We talked about where we're at. And then we also just talked about like what we see in our future and what's really going on with the state of the world and with ourselves and our yoga businesses. And we have a little a love fest in there as well. Before we dive fully into the episode, I want to remind everybody that the Soul Reset Challenge just started on Monday, the 12th. You can still sign up for it and catch up. It is 20 days of meditation, restorative, yoga nidra. I got pretty much all of my best practices and tools that have kept me, put together and really grounded and really finding my yogic state per se. And I put it together in this 20-day Soul Reset. You can download it inside my app. You can find that on the iTunes store or on Google Play. It's 20 days. It's for you. Go out there and use it. And if you love the show, head over to iTunes and leave us a review. And feel free to share the show. It really does help us grow. It'll continue to share this message and this open communication and this connection to our community. Without further ado, here goes a special episode of Dharma Dudes with me and Rocky. It's been forever, Rocky.
Oh my God. I've just been sitting here waiting.
Anxiously or just waiting?
Oh my God. Well, it was anxious, and then I felt like it's probably not going to happen. So I started just becoming complacent, and then you texted me, so I got anxious again, and then, oh my
God. Rocky, I feel like we haven't done an episode in it's been a couple of months, right?
It's been, I think, 127 years.
Wow. How's everything been in the last 127 years for you? I mean,
pretty much the same. For sure, yeah. Nothing really new.
Still on lockdown.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my vocabulary has changed. Now I pretty much just say things like yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So that's new. I bought some new shoes in the last 127 years.
We are crushing this episode. This is going so good.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
So on brand.
What about you? What are you doing?
Well, trying to keep up with the times, I think, is the thing that I've been doing the most. I'm just I feel like my one job every day that I've been telling, actually, a friend of mine said this. And she said, Danny, your one job to do every day is to just try and not lose your shit. That's it right now. Like during.
Hey, you know what? That is a really great. That's a really great full circle moment from the very first episode we had of Dharma Dudes, which was about Dharma, and that essentially Dharma is the process of keeping your shit together
and not losing your shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said
it's
that.
Like, yeah, but I'm sure I got it from you, so it's fine.
Got it. Right.
Yeah, it's like Dharma is the process of nourishing and sustaining our path, and when the the terrain becomes exceedingly rugged and and fragile, the endeavor of keeping your shit together becomes way more involved. So here we are.
Yeah, I feel, like, I mean, obviously there's still so much going on, specifically in the US with the climate of not just coronavirus, but politics and just everything else. For me personally, I've been hit really hard on the home front. My main, but it's also, I mean, well, my main yoga studio that I essentially moved to San Francisco to come be a part of this team. Didn't even work there, but I wanted to teach at Yoga Tree. I knew that that's where I wanted to be and everything. And that has been such a big part of my community and a big part of, just my growth as a teacher for the last 6 years, closed down permanently. Mm-hmm. So it's been a big loss. There's a lot of things that we didn't get to do together this year. We didn't get to go to Burning Man, and now the community's gone, like the yoga community's gone in that way. And so it's adapting mm-hmm. to all of that, but it's also brought out some really cool things as well.
Like?
Well, I have some exciting news that you know about that our listeners don't know about.
Should I pretend like I don't know about it? I can be a surrogate for the listeners.
I feel like maybe we'll get like more listens and better reviews if you put like have like a shock value factor on this.
Okay, one. So start over. Say I have some exciting news.
So I have some exciting, really surprising, groundbreaking news.
Oh, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Oh, what's he going to say? Oh God, what's he going to say? I can't wait. I have no idea. Oh,
I signed the lease for a live work loft here in San Francisco this last week. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh wait, sorry. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. Say that again.
Got it. Let me know when you're ready for the surprise factor.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I signed a lease for live work loft in San Francisco. Wow. Well, you were surprised, huh?
Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed. I did a spit take because I was so surprised to hear that news, which I'm sure all of our listeners also. Just imagine all the spit takes that just happened around the world.
We'll give everyone a minute to like pause here, just wipe up their spit takes.
Sure. Or also you can pause and take a sip of water and rewind if you want to join me for our first ever global spit take on the hashtag global spit take.
This is actually just a setup for you guys to start doing our yearly global spit take.
Yeah, so we've taken 127 years off to kind of refresh our approach, and we wanted to have more fun, interactive moments on the Dharma Dudes. So that's the first one. Yeah, here it is. Danny.
Yes,
I feel like they just overshadowed your news, which is that you've signed a lease for a new live workspace in San Francisco. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I just really feel, for me, community has been, it's kind of my everything, this. And I know that we are going to need space to gather, and I know that we're going to need space to heal. And I also know that we're going to need space to practice. And, there's also, obviously I just personally have been mentally affected by being in a 12 by 12 room for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, I know that this space is not only going to be good for my mental health, but I want to continue to do my best to be here for the community and to show up. And I feel like this is one way that I can do it, is to provide that space where people can feel like they're at home and people can feel like they can come and be themselves as they show up that day. And so that's the
Is it premature to inquire about the COVID logistics of it all, of how you're navigating, how you're navigating the concerns about
for sure
human proximity and what that all looks like?
Well, I mean, I don't think COVID's going away, and I think that this is going to be, this for me is about moving forward, right? And so everyone's going to come in a big plastic bubble, and we're actually just going to stack bubbles on top of bubbles and then do yoga while these bubbles are stacked on top of each other.
Please tell me that the name of your studio is called Bubbles on Bubbles.
It's called Bubbles on Bubbles on Bubbles.
Ooh. Wait, I need to take another sip of water. 1 second. Hold on. Okay, everybody, sip your water. Dana's gonna
spit take. Here we go. No, I'm gonna follow all the safety, obviously, precautions that the city is calling for, and there's also a roof area that we can use. So it's outdoor, it's open air, which will give a little more permission.
You know what you could do? You know how like at Burning Man, there's the Dr. Bronner's camp that sprays you down. You could do that with like Purell. Where it's just like you're doing yoga but getting just showered in hand sanitizer
the entire time.
Yeah. Or you could have like black light and like tribal markers and like hula hoops and like a fun DJ set. And then also everyone's wearing rollerblades for some reason. Like there's so many things you can do.
Are we still on the bubbles?
On bubbles, on
bubbles. Got it.
On bubbles?
Yes.
No, just 3.
Question mark?
I'm confused. Yeah. Please, whatever. I don't care what your studio name is, just that there's a question mark at the end of it.
Yeah.
Great. Danny, like Danny's yoga oasis.
Yeah, I just feel, I really do feel strongly about creating this space and, reviving. At some point, things are going to go back in some sort of way, and whether that's, whatever, that's a whole different conversation in itself. But I do know that as of the immediate future, it is going to be safe for people to even come for a couple of morning meditations, and have plenty of space around them and have a mask on. And, there's the cool thing is there's these giant windows. They're about 18 feet tall. And so there's plenty of ventilation, if not pretty much half in, half outdoor kind of situation. So that's really the next big thing that I'm kind of, I've just been focusing on it. I really am trying to manifest this into reality and create the space now that, studios are a thing of the past.
Well, if anyone can manifest things into reality quickly and skillfully, it's you, my friend. So
thank you.
I'm here for it. And I was very, this is just like a little bit of trivia. Also an opportunity to make this just a little bit about me.
Hey,
just real quick. When Danny sent me the picture of this live workspace that he was super excited about, I was like, this looks familiar. And I remembered, like, I don't know, 5 years ago when I moved to San Francisco, I had looked at this exact space as a possible live space. And I ultimately didn't end up moving in there for a number of other reasons. But I remember thinking this would be like a really cool live workspace. And it was just like a really fun, again, full circle moment to see you moving into that space and it going to you and you kind of like being able to manifest that vision for yourself there. So
yeah, that was kind of cool. Actually, I forgot about that until you just said that. I totally forgot. Yeah, that's right. You had gone and checked out the place beforehand. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
And I remember too, like before I looked at that was the place on, like when I got the Craigslist listing for it, I had sent it to everybody. Like, can you imagine like what it would be like to live here or have even a studio here? I was so stoked on that space, and it just didn't pan out at the time, but it was like just so sweet that gets to be, you're about bubbles on bubbles on bubbles.
Bubbles on bubbles, roller skates, disco party, Oasis, question mark?
Yeah. And by the way, just in case it wasn't clear, the question mark is written out.
QUES, like all of it?
Yeah. Yeah. You know how to spell question mark. I don't think
right.
You need to prove that.
2ZYN.
Wow.
Yeah. Got it.
Wow. Really, if I had water in my mouth, but I don't.
The other thing that, as for the other thing really that I've just been kind of dedicating all of my time, energy, and effort to is this sadhana, the sadhana, soul reset that I have coming up in October. I have really just been shifting all of my time and my awareness and putting it together and making this 20-day program, putting it together for, I just feel
programs
like
are spelled PROGRM.
Yes, that's it.
Program.
Yeah, program.
Sorry, PROGR''M.
SQTW.
No, oh God. You know what? Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
So I've been putting together this sadhana program. It's 20 days of restorative and pranayama and breath work and introspection. And, it's all the tools that have been working for me through all of this. And it's also a way of giving. I know that the community is at least my community. We're feeling a loss and we're feeling a big hurt.
Yeah.
And a lot of us around the world are. And so I want to, these are things that I know that work for me. And so I'm hoping that they work for others.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I think you mentioned several podcasts ago that like we've all kind of endured in one way or another, a form of trauma through these times. And I'm very aware and sensitive to the degree to which this has impacted people differently.
Right.
And within the scale of impact, I think I've been on the more privileged side of things. Probably you as well. I mean, already having had a bit of a head start into the world of digital production and having aspects of our business kind of already ready to adapt in this way. But regardless, I mean, just the isolation and the if you are an empath, it's hard to distinguish someone else's trauma from your own or what you see going on in the world.
Right.
Even politically, I've become incredibly active and cognizant of my own kind of horrors around our political system, many of which I'm aware don't actually impact me. And I have to kind of remind myself, like my voice and my advocacy is really for people that are less privileged than I am, at least in this, I didn't come from privilege, but at least in this time. But collectively, I think we all have had to adapt our nervous systems and in many instances, just our lives, to be able to survive and hopefully thrive and stay healthy. So as yoga teachers, it's interesting because so much of the work that we do is about like helping to mitigate the dysregulation of our nervous system,
right,
and helping to kind of, as you say, keep our shit together. And I don't know, I think the biggest shift that I've experienced in just my teaching is sort of a recontextualization around what the hell it is I'm actually teaching. Like what is the function of a vinyasa practice,
right,
set against the backdrop of all of this? Not to say it's every class needs to be themed around what's going on in the world, but like, what are the tools that I use to keep my shit together? And as a teacher, like, how can I make those available, maybe not even just to my community or not just even to people interested in yoga, but how can I make those tools available to more people everywhere that really actually need them right now? So anyhow, it's cool to see you doing that. And I'm, as your friend, I continue to be inspired by your ability and willingness to like feel the things and be really, like, I've seen just so much honesty from you, and realness. And even, I know you took a little break from social media for a while, and like, regardless of what that does to the algorithm and what, the effects of that you were willing to prioritize your own mental health, even at the expense of like followers or blah, blah.
Right.
So yeah, just, you continue to be an example. I think, being a teacher does sort of incentivize you to like feel all the things, but also not to wallow too long. It's like, okay, if I can touch despair and bring myself out of it, then I have the tools to help other people. And it's sort of like accountability keeps you mobilized and keeps you creating and sharing. So
thank you. Well, I think this is, we find ourselves in this position often in the show, Rocky, and, really fuck it for everyone that's listening too. This is 100% completely genuine, but I don't think that we plan out these like love fests, on one another. And, for me, going going through what I went through this summer and coming to terms with depression, and now even moving into looking into, having additional help, as far as taking, meds to really help me get through this slump. But what really has been, a big part of my anchoring and a part of my grace is reflections with you. And, I know that we go on bits and we do this back and forth, but, to really to be seen in times like this and to be reminded of our resiliency and to, it's taken a long time for me to recognize what my teaching is about. And I think that, as I peel back layers, as you say, every time I seek, you're never really surprised. You're just like, oh, he's finally got to that point. He's there. He's getting to that next step.
Well, I stand atop a mountain of absolute knowing, and I just look down at all my children, and I glimpse their futures and past and present, and I just wait patiently for everyone to realize what I've seen from the beginning. So, just to interject.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Continue.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah.
No,
sure. Yeah. Cool. So,
sorry, you were saying.
Yeah. No, it's just, there has been such a different level of realness and rawness through all this process. And even in my, relationship with you, not that we weren't close before, but, it's just when I thought we couldn't get closer and that I couldn't love and kind of see another, just to meet you on a different level again, we went there for me,
Hell yeah.
And this is where you're like, wait, what?
That's why I needed to take a sip of water first before you said that. Danny thought where things were closer. Spit take. Okay, well, that's getting real. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
See you in another 127 years.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Actually, I forgot. I have this thing. So it's fine.
So, dude,
yeah. Oh God, here we go.
Derail.
You're not wrong. You're absolutely correct. And I think it's it's interesting when when your life kind of has you. I mean, for me, like my life before all this involved a lot of travel and kind of like bobbing and weaving around the world and showing up in different places. And it's sort of like, well, when I'm in this country or in this city or in this place, I will reach out to this person, or when there's a chance to work with this person, we'll be in. Mm-hmm. I kind of just let it flow organically based on my schedule to a certain extent, how much I was in communication and connection with certain people. And I think having this sort of shared paradigm shift where we're all kind of in the same boat, but we all have a different context of what that boat looks like and where we want to steer it. It really has highlighted the people that are really crucial to your life and to the path that you're on. And I feel 100% the same way that you have. I feel close. Yeah. I haven't seen you in probably the longest period of time, but I feel closer to you, I don't say on the other side of this because we're still in it, but I feel closer to you through having gone through our own kind of versions of adaptation and reflection throughout all these times. So love you, bro.
Same, Duder McScooter. Ooh. Like that one?
I don't not like it. How about that?
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, you can edit this part out. I was listening to a stand-up comedian, John Early, was saying, "What if during sex, instead of saying like yeah, oh yeah, people just said for sure, like for sure, no, for sure." That was an aside. I just wanted to share that with our listeners, something to reflect on next time you find yourself embroiled in the beautiful complexities of coitus. You might.
Wait, we should have invited everyone to a sip of water for the spit take on that.
Oh, yes. Everybody, please imbibe your H2O.
And go.
And yeah, for sure. Okay. Sorry, you were saying.
That was it. That was my main point. It's kind of as we were getting to like what's going on and what's happening in the world of shakeup. I'm here, I'm in it, and I'm moving forward. I've said this a lot recently on the podcast, but this is where I'm at. What about Rocky? Where's Rocky at?
Oof. I'm, kind of what I was saying before, like, I don't want to say politically, but just as it relates to what I experience going on in sort of the macro and what I experience going on in the micro of my own individual experience. It's like there's so many different layers through which you can view something. Mm-hmm. Like I say, like if you were to just look underneath the surface of your skin, you would see what would look like this war zone of just like activity of cells and bacteria like fighting and combating each other and all this movement and agitation and dynamism. And then you like zoom out to above the surface and it's just like your body. Like, right. And like, if you zoom out to like I think the analogy is like, if you are looking at what's going on the ground on our planet, certainly in our country, it looks like this fraught, tense, violent, like uneasy battle playing out. And then you zoom out and it's this like blue planet, this like blue dot that's just there. Right. And I think along those lines, like how I am, like the individual cell that is me, I feel like is doing really well. Like I feel like I'm carrying out my function well. I feel like I have clear sort of commitments that are motivating me and inspiring me and keeping me moving forward. And I'm also aware that the cell that I am within the larger body that is like our country or our planet is within a sort of diseased, sick organism,
right?
And I feel all of that. So yeah, I personally am doing really, really well. I may be doing the best I've ever been, not by any accident, but by really employing and leveraging, all of the work that I've invested in myself and in my life and in my practice. And a lot of it's come to fruition and come, to an evolved place through all this. And you talk to a lot of people that will kind of want to secretly admit like that this time has sort of been the best for them personally in terms of the opportunities that it's encouraged them to take or the sort of adaptations that we knew we needed to do that we just never were fully incentivized to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, in all that it's been overwhelming to say the least. And it's been perhaps the busiest time of my life, considering that I haven't been traveling all around the world, but just been kind of in one place. But I think I'm also, what this time has done, I think in a more, I want to say global sense, but just kind of zooming out, is so many of the people that say, I just want things to go back to normal. I think that I've become really aware of privilege, and I've become really aware of the fact that for a large majority of people, at least in our country, normal was a place of dire, critical suffering, and the idea of things going back to normal for a lot of people, for enough people that feels like a relief. For a lot of people, that feels also horrifying.
Right.
And I think so many of the myths of shortage and the myths of scarcity that have kind of been the justification for not taking good care of the people of our country have been really laid bare and really exposed through this time. So it just feels like a time of like a lot of wounds being opened and exposed.
Right.
Or like, the analogy is like, if you have all these splinters in your body, you might not feel them, but when you start to pull the splinters out, it exposes your skin, exposes the openings to oxygen, to the atmosphere, and it hurts oftentimes more once you've pulled the splinter out than when it was just lodged in there. And so I feel like a lot of splinters have been pulled out, and it's painful, because it's not like there's any, at the same time, there's no solutions being offered at the same, to actually heal these wounds. They're just being exposed, and the lies are being exposed. So I'm very cognizant of that. And I feel, sometimes I feel often kind of like I'm standing alone, especially as I live in Los Angeles, in sort of a liberal bubble of a certain degree of privilege, that, a lot of my opinions on what's going on in the world seem to be a little unpopular right now, but it's awakened in me a real sort of patriotism and a sense of principle around how I think that people ought to be treated, and right and wrong. And I don't know. It's not always. It's depressing. Like I feel depressed for our country and for a lot of its people, but I also feel good because it feels better to me to acknowledge truth than it does to be asleep to it.
Right.
So as always, I'm sort of in this like paradox place of feeling both very strong and very alert and very awake, but also looking at some very hard truths that are unfortunate but necessary to acknowledge.
How do you mitigate? Like, I guess, how do you manage all of that? How do you just, when you unpack it all and you sit there and you look at it, how do you, one thing at a time, or?
Yeah. It's sort of like the yoga of it all. Like you can't pay attention to everything at once and do anything well, which doesn't to say that if you're focusing on doing one, like right now, I'm focusing on recording this podcast, so that's what I'm doing right now. Like I'm not trying to also like answer texts on my phone or like read the news or, like eat this bowl of cereal that I scarfed down before we started. Like I'm having this conversation with you. And then after this, I'll go do the next thing, and I'll do the next thing. And there'll be sort of a boundary time in my day where I am focusing on world events and reflecting on that. And there's times where obviously I have to multitask as well. But I think I know that if I am to affect any kind of positive change or influence in my world, I have to be able to boundary my attention and commit myself to whatever it is I'm doing in that segment of my day as best as I can. Sure. It's not always easy, but it's like doing a pose. It's like if you're teaching someone a yoga pose, you might first need to just teach them where their feet go and have them really focus on where their feet are, and then where their knees go, and then you might start to ask them to focus on an action, and then like now focus on the opposite action, and then can you do both of those at the same time? And maybe yes, maybe no. And over time, through kind of the skillful application of self in the isolated parts, you can start to integrate, which makes things more complex, but also it enhances our ability to like show up more fully when we can. I don't know if that's an answer, because it suggests that I'm really successful at it. I'm not always successful at it.
That was definitely an answer. It was the wrong answer, but that's okay.
Okay, cool. Is there like a key that did you send over like an answer sheet?
No, it was just like, you trying to, like, you were speaking your truth, but it's like, it's wrong.
That's fair. No, that's fair for sure. Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely. For sure. Yeah, I think, it's like, I'm really grateful for, you said the word resilience earlier, and that's always a word I come back to as it relates to this practice. We've talked about this in a lot of different ways. I think like so many of the metaphors of the practice itself are now just being applied to our world at large.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when shit falls apart? What do you do when the context that you've grown accustomed to existing in changes? You might break down. You might not like it. You might regress. But at a certain point, you have to adapt. And I'm really careful about making general statements about like, this time is a great opportunity for everyone to adapt to this new way of life. Like this really is this tremendous opportunity. Yes, I think that might be true. And I think, I was watching a thing on YouTube the other day from an influencer. And this is no shade on him. Like I appreciate his content. I appreciate what he's sharing, but it was sort of like, what are the top 5 habits that you have adopted during quarantine that have really benefited you? And it was kind of like, setting an alarm, making your own coffee, meditate, take an online course, like different things. And I in watching it, I was agreeing with all those things. And I was like, yeah, those would be really great ways to fill time. But I also realized I and he are both people that also generate their income online for the most part. And,
right.
If you have a family and you're working 3 jobs and you don't have healthcare and, you're, as is the case for 40% of people in this country before this pandemic hit, you're a $400 expense away from total financial collapse. And the eviction moratorium has expired, as have your unemployment payment. Like, what do you do? Like, set an alarm and make your own coffee. Like, it really is a dire condition for a majority of people in this country that I can't just say, what a great opportunity to develop a yoga practice. Like when you're in a mode of absolute and utter survival without any obvious solutions being presented, what do you do? And my heart really breaks for those people. And And when it comes to voting or pressuring our politicians or doing what I can, I recognize that the only power that I have is in my capacity to vote. And if I'm being honest, I don't see either of our politicians that are on the ticket like speaking to that at all or offering any solutions for those people. And so I'm committed to using whatever political power I have to attempt to pressure these politicians to earn the votes of these people by helping them.
Right.
Doesn't matter to me. I would love if we all had healthcare. That'd be great. But I can afford my own healthcare. It's expensive, but I can afford it. It would be, not to go down too deep down that rabbit hole, but there are a lot of people that are literally pushed to the edge of existence right now. And now we have this whole culture war thing going on with the Supreme Court that continues to subvert the conversation from economic policies, and it's really upsetting. So I don't have like a clear solution. All I know is that I don't think that we do anybody a service by just choosing to lie about our politicians or choosing to conceal the truths or pledging allegiance to fall in line behind somebody that's not doing anything to earn your support. It's a sad state of affairs when we're continuously being asked to vote for the lesser of two evils when at the end of the day we're still being asked to support evil. And that's not, I'm not trying to encourage anyone to vote or not vote or to vote for somebody or someone else. I'm just speaking to the situation that's at hand, and it's and how we got here. And it's anyway, I'm rambling, but these are all things that I feel that break my heart. And in the midst of that, I'm doing quite well. And so,
Well, Rocky, as always, I love when we get to catch up and
was that it? Was that the end of it?
That was it.
On that note?
Yeah.
My God.
I mean, we get
well, now you go. That was me catching up for the last 127 years of not sharing anything.
And the kids are great too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're thriving. Yeah.
No, I think it's always important for us to, keep it real and show up exactly as we are, and that's all we can do.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, no. Well, the last update I'll give is that I am also moving. Do you want to take a sip of water?
Oh yeah, sure. Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for you.
Okay. Next week
I can fully talk with water in my mouth.
Did you put the water in your mouth?
No, the water is in my mouth right now. I'm actually speaking with water in my mouth, Rocky.
God, Danny, you are such an inspiration to so many people out there. It really is a testament to your the dedication to your practice. To your
I'm holding water in my mouth and speaking.
I mean, is this just one of the many things that you're going to learn at Bubbles on Bubbles on Bubbles ?
Roller skate disco party DJ live set ?
Yeah.
Oh no, Oasis ?
When you walk in, you're going to get a sip of water that you are to hold in your mouth for the entire duration of class. Don't ask why; it's weird. No, okay. Sip your water. Do your thing. Okay. So next week, I am also moving into my very own live workspace loft.
Woo!
Was that the sound of you spitting out water?
That's actually how I spit out water.
Yeah, apparently that's the vibe now. So my live workspace will not be so much for live classes, but I will be an actual production studio where I can create content and continue to do what I do, which is, similar to what you do in that sense, but reach out and connect with my community for now virtually, but in a space that's more amenable to doing that. So stay tuned for some upgraded backgrounds from the Dharma Dudes. What are we?
Dharma Doodlage.
Seekers. Wait, who's the seeker?
I think if we flip,
Ooh, we're like totes first.
Exactly, that's what it is.
So maybe we should rebrand. Wait, can it be Seeker and Sage podcast, and then our spinoff is called #totes first?
Well, why don't we take a poll? Actually,
yes, I don't know how to organize that, so by all means, I'll reshare whatever you post about that.
I'm totally into it. I'll do it.
And for those of you that are listening that have no idea what we're talking about, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Danny, I love you.
Rocky, I love you too.
I love you more.
Well, I just love you a little more than that. So,
yeah. Well, I can't one up that. I can't top that. Honestly, I'll just.
Do you think we still have listeners at this point in the show?
No. Absolutely not. Okay. Are you still recording?
This is just me and you.
Yes. Just how I like it. Just us. Oh. Just us boys.
What's the next Dharma Dudes?
Flip, flop, and Seeker and say. Sorry.
Danny and Rocky saying peace out.
Bye.